our next speaker, revolutionizing the world of human relationships, turning high performers into great people leaders. Please welcome to the stage, Lisa Anna Palmer.
As a senior executive, one of the most important decisions that you are going to make this year is who are you going to promote next into your leadership cohort. Now, if you're like most senior executives or most leaders, you're going to search out in your organization and find those high performers. They're great at what they do. Maybe they're awesome accountants, they're subject matter specialists, they're your IT professionals who are meeting all the deadlines, exceeding client expectations. Sounds like a great plan, right? More often than not, though, what happens is that you find out the hard way. Just because someone is really good at what they do, they're a high performer, it doesn't automatically make them a great people leader. So think about that for a moment. What could possibly happen, or what is the result of this? If you do this enough times, you're actually putting your company at risk. And not only that, your life ain't gonna be any fun. I know, because I've worked with leaders from frontline manager all the way to CEO. Now let's talk about the CEOs for a moment. CEOs who, over a period of time, have promoted high performers into these leadership roles, be they manager or director, perhaps even VP. Sometimes that happens without the proper support and mentorship to grow the leadership in your high performer. So imagine that you come in on a Monday. You're excited because, as a CEO would, you probably woke up at 5:30 in the morning, did your jog, had a healthy breakfast, came in, and you feel your phone going off, all the emails, bing, bing, bing. You get excited, more business. You check those emails, and this sea of emails from HR explodes in your face. You're like, oh my gosh, it's all employee relations issues. Johnny, your best analyst, just left the organization because they're pissed off at their manager. Then on Tuesday, you go to a board meeting. You get raked over the coals because your engagement levels are plummeting. And not only that, you're getting bad press because your managers are not walking the talk on mental health. So is that a fun way to lead your company? Because I'm sure, and as I mentioned earlier, I've worked with a lot of leaders, that you'd rather put that energy, that time into growing your company and also ensuring that your employees are doing their very best at work. This reminds me of a gentleman we'll call Jeff. So Jeff was brilliant, super analyst. Honestly, he had a huge brain, and he wowed management all the time because he was always exceeding goals, met expectations. He could pull work and like magic right out of a hat. It's done. They didn't have to worry about it. Now, management noticed Jeff and his great abilities as a high performer, as a super analyst. And guess what? They fast-tracked him through manager. He spent a couple of months there. And the next thing you know, he's a director because there was an opening. All of a sudden, senior management was kept really busy with Jeff's messes, cleaning up his messes. His employees were upset at him. Great people were quitting. His team was burning out. And poor old Jeff is walking around wondering, what did I do? Why can't people just do their work? I mean, I perform well my whole entire life without being pushed. Why can't they do it too? Well, you see, Jeff still had the mindset of that high performer, the person who's able to self-motivate, to hit all their targets, and he had a hard time understanding why others couldn't do the same. Jeff still had the mindset of an individual contributor. Now, your job as a leader in the organization, as an executive, is to help grow your leaders. Make sure that leaders or people who are occupying leadership roles like Jeff really grow their ability to connect with your most important asset, your people. To connect with them at the human level so that they know that they are appreciated. They hear things from people like Jeff like, thank you. Jeff would start to ask them, what's important to you? What really motivates you? What are you passionate about? Jeff would go in and say hi to them every morning and make sure that the people in his group felt included. So that would be what happens when you help people who are high performers transition into the mindset that makes them great people leaders. Now, let's compare that to some other people who have worked with me as a coach to be able to navigate that transition smoothly. I'll give you an example of George. So George, again, high performer, was promoted into a managerial role. He was a great guy. His team loved him when he was one of them. All of a sudden, George came to me and says, Lisa, I got promoted not long ago. All of a sudden, the guys who are asking me out to go to beer and nacho night are running away from me when I come down the hall. Why is that happening? And I had to break the bad news to George. I'm like, George, you might still feel the same inside as you did before you got promoted, but the truth is that people now perceive you as a suit, as one of the management, as somebody other than somebody who is part of their team. So they're going to put that distance between you and them. So I worked with George to get through this difficult transition so that he could reestablish trust with his team in a different role. And there were a number of different things that we worked on, and some of them were so simple. I was like, George, you might want to start loosening your tie a little bit, maybe lose the suit on a Friday, start telling some jokes. A couple months later, I saw him again. He had followed my guidance and what he learned during our coaching. And he said to me, Lisa, it feels great. It is different. I'm not having the same type of relationships as before, but it's a good relationship. My people trust me. They still come to me. They come flag issues to me, and they feel comfortable doing it. And I can see that the team is more cohesive, and they don't run away from the cooler every time I go. Another example is Samantha. Samantha had a little bit of a different situation. So she was a great people leader. However, she had difficulty with the management team. So she had been promoted to director, and now she had to figure out how to establish relationships with people that she had looked up to in the past, and not only that, have influence with the vice president. So with Samantha, I worked with her for 3 months to make sure that she understood what it meant to manage upwards and to build those relationships. At the end of our journey together, she said to me, you know what, Lisa? Now the vice president not only approves my ideas, she actually comes to me and asks me for advice. And when I sit at the management table, I feel like I belong. Third example, a little bit different. Jane was a senior manager. And Jane had difficulty because she was starting to feel burnt out. She sent me an email, Lisa, I can't take this anymore. I'm so busy, I don't even have time to play with my kids at night. So I worked with Jane, and I helped her discover the art of delegation, as well as practicing self-care and setting healthy boundaries. Now, Jane is really thriving. Not only is she and her team gelling better because now she trusts them more and they respect her boundaries, but they're hitting all their targets in a healthy way. And wow, now she's modeling that for the next generation. So as a senior leader, you have a choice. Your choice is continue promoting high performers into leadership roles and then put their growth on a back burner. That's what's going to make your life a lot more difficult, as well as put your company at risk. The other choice is to get the help you need. Call me, Lisa Anna Palmer. Go to lisaannapalmer.com and book a discovery session. And I will work with your leaders to make sure that they make the shift from high performer to high performing, great people leader, so that together we can make your workplace better. Thank you.